Smash that limiter!
Well, hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Welcome to episode 9 of Limited Basher podcast. I can't believe we almost hit the double digits, Spliffy.
Yeah, I know, it's fucking insane. What a journey.
And Spliffy, can you introduce our special guest?
Hello, this is my good special friend, I'm an X.
Hey, I'm the special friend.
Special
I'm
friend.
doing well. How are you guys?
Yeah, not too
Yeah,
bad.
good, thank you.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I mean, I only just woke up like 10 minutes ago, so it'll be off the cuff. I feel like you're like strapping me down to the chair and you've like injected truth serum, so you can get like your questions in time. It's like, wait, did you get him?
Yeah, I'm sorry for that. We're all pretty
That's
tired
good.
today. I woke Spliffy up out of bed. I called him and he was
Oh, really?
in bed. So
I was in bed when Hunter called me.
Oh my god.
In bed when I called him.
it's like 30
Yeah, it's
minutes
like a
ago.
chain mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
We're all
god.
just like trying to get ourselves organized for today.
Oh my god.
It was a lot of effort this morning to get out of bed. I won't lie.
Yeah, it really was.
I didn't get drunk last night, but it felt like I did.
Yeah. You started going to the gym a lot more, haven't you, though?
Me?
Yeah.
I will this week, yeah. Last week I couldn't because I was going through some shit, but yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I couldn't get out of bed. It was really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I did last night? Because I went to bed like really, really late. So it's like 3
What'd you
a.m.
do?
And I looked at my texts and I noticed that my friend had messaged me being like, look at the new plants I bought. Aren't they awesome? And I was like, I didn't get the picture. That's what I said to them. But it turns out, because I was tired, that's not what I wrote. I wrote, I did get the picture.
Oh,
That's what I
really?
freaking replied with. And then they were like, oh, okay. And I didn't realize. And I'm like laying in bed, scrolling my phone. And I reread the thing. I'm like, I wonder where that picture is. And then I saw what I wrote. I was like, oh, no. And it's like 3 a.m. I can't text them right now. So I found out my phone can actually schedule a message for 8 a.m.
Oh,
So
wow.
I actually woke up to them like messaging me back, being like, "Oh, no worries, here's the picture." And it's like 8:30, and I'm like looking at it like half awake. I'm like, "What? Why am I looking at plants right now? What's happening?" And I fell back to sleep. Yeah.
That's clever. I didn't think of scheduling
I
text messages.
It makes sense, but I've just never explored that.
Maybe I should set like an auto message for like, I don't know, a certain time.
8:55. Sorry, boss. I'm gonna be late today.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. If like if you're pulling a sickie or you're sick, you're actually sick, and you're like, because you know how like sometimes when you like calling sick to work, you can't do it the day before because they'll like question you. They're like,
Yeah.
but you're sick now, but you might not be in the morning. Like maybe you should just schedule a fucking text message to be sent out in the morning so you can sleep in.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
That's not a bad
Uh,
idea at all.
I mean, I can't say I've like ever done it before. That's the first time I did it. But then I started like thinking, I'm like, wait, I can schedule like back-to-back texts. So it's like 8 o'clock. I say like, where's the picture of the plant? And then I just like guess for like 10 o'clock. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But like if they don't reply in the 2 hours, then it's kinda like,
It's like almost sounds like you're like trying to sound like a smart ass. They don't understand anything. You're like, yeah, man, that's a really cool plant.
yeah, it's so tiny, I can't even see it. Yeah, you'll get that alive easily. Yeah, good one.
I could just imagine just like scheduling all your friends like the generic replies that you know they're gonna message you, how are you? And you just like say for example, like at this time every day your mate always like messages you, what are you up to? And you just reply back, nothing much, dickhead. Like and just schedule that at the same time every day.
Oh, that'd be so good. Like, hey, you messaged me first this time. Yeah, just wanted to remind you.
You're late for your appointment. Where's that scheduling text message you normally send?
Give me a moment. I'm gonna schedule a few texts. All right.
Oh no.
Oh god. Have you played the new Phasmo update? Me and Spliffy were playing it last night.
Oh, I've never played the game at all.
Really?
I've seen Spliffy play it. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't,
it's
I
so
don't know
fun.
anything about it. Yeah.
It is actually quite a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. They added an actual progression system, and like, so you like start with tier 1, and the stuff sucks.
It really
It
sucks.
sucks.
It's actually extremely clever what they've done.
It
too.
is,
Sorry, I
yeah.
didn't mean to cut you off there, because they had all these old assets from older versions of the game, so they just had this genius idea. It was like, why don't we just bring back those assets and have a progression system, so we don't end up just wasting the time that we spent making those assets in the first place,
That's
which is
interesting.
fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the tier
Oh,
1
man,
thermometer is like a fucking actual mercury thermometer. It takes
Yeah.
ages to register what's happening.
Oh, it sucks.
I should try it out at some point. That
It is
game.
actually a lot of
It
fun.
is, yeah.
Can you play it in VR? That game?
Yeah,
as well?
yeah.
Yes, you can.
VR's
Oh,
awesome because you
shit.
can hold 2 equipment at
Yeah.
once.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you can have like your spirit box and your thermometer at the same time while having your torch on. So like you can technically have 3 things on at once, but yeah. It's pretty good.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah. Damn. Yeah. No, I'll look into it.
You can also throw shit at people too in VR, which is fun.
Yeah.
You like when you're dead, you can like pick up a can and actually like lob it at someone's head.
Ah, that's sick. Yeah, I'm gonna have to set my VR thing up. I still haven't done it yet, so it should be good though.
Hell
Yeah. But so on tradition of having special guests, as this is technically an automotive podcast, technically very loosely, because we like to talk about lots of different things, because otherwise it's just a little bit boring if we talk about cars and cars alone. How did you learn to drive, and how many cars you own, and what do you
And
drive?
what's your favorite part of your car?
Yeah.
Oh, favorite part of the car. Okay. So, how to learn how to drive? My dad was very much like, you're learning to drive manual. Manual's really useful. You can hop in anyone's car. And so, the second I was like of age, he basically took me out into like the middle of the bush, and he found like a really steep hill, and he's like, "We're gonna do nothing but hill starts." And so that's all I did for like 2 days straight. It was like, okay, drive up on that hill. All right, stop. All right, hill start. No, you rolled backwards. You would have killed someone. That's bad. Don't do that. I'm like, what the hell, man? And so like he like wouldn't let me drive like past first gear essentially, because he wanted to make sure that I knew how to stop my car more than I could go, I suppose. And so it's just like, okay, driving, and there would be silence, and then he'd be like, stop, and I'm like, okay. So like that was a really painful week. I just felt like I was doing like sergeant drill lessons essentially. But after that, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I knew how to stop, so that was sick. And then, yeah, I mean, I've just been driving ever since. I used to drive all my friends around and all that.
Yeah.
When I was younger, and so I became like the taxi service essentially. You know what? I still drive that car. It's the same car. Like it's I got a Mitsubishi Lancer. So
Hey, if it
that's
works
what
and
I
it
do.
runs, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's it. So, but I'm not the biggest car head though. But I kind of like driving, and then at the same time, it just like irks me now because like I've done like way too much of it
Yeah.
essentially. So yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much me. I don't know if that's different to other people.
Yeah.
Like learning though. Yeah.
Very different to Hunter's brother.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
I reckon by the time Hunter's brother was your age, he probably owned something like 20 cars by the sounds of it.
Yeah. Yeah. He's had a lot of cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was telling us stories of a lot of them and stuff like that. Because I was like asking him as well, because he was our guest last week. And and also those watching, if you want to hit up that podcast, if you missed it and you want to hear like catch up on the stories that we're on about, it's all on my YouTube in the links below in the description. But so he technically owned his first car when he was like, so if my oldest brother was 16, he would have been like 14, 15. Bought it from some crackhead. It's
He
like,
bought a lot of cars from crackheads.
yeah, well, sometimes you get a good deal, you know. They need their heat up,
That is
and you need a
true.
car. So
You can't. $50 is $50. Right? Like not even that. Like just a pack, just a 6-pack for a car. Why not?
that's
Oh,
it.
that's so genius. Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as it's not stolen,
work
it's
in-
all good.
Yeah.
Does it work in reverse? Like if I put on like Facebook Marketplace and be like, I'm a crackhead who needs to sell my car, please buy it immediately.
Nah,
Do
because
you
they'll
think that would
probably
work?
they'll probably try and offer you drugs for it instead.
Oh, damn it, foiled.
They'll like, yeah, no worries. We'll give you some crack or something, and they just give you glass.
What am I meant to do with this? Oh,
You have
God,
some broken
okay.
glass and try and smoke it.
Oh,
So
So
what,
out of curiosity, what is your favorite part of the car?
Oh, my favorite part of the car. Oh man, this is awesome. Because when anything goes wrong with my car, I call my dad immediately. I'm like, I don't know what's going on with my car. It's making funny noises. And then he tries to tell me the parts. And he's like, "Is it this?" I'm like, "So where is that in the car?" All right, but knowing all the parts of my car, my favorite part of the car is, man, I'm trying to stall as I talk. What would it be?
Like the engine, the gearbox, or the diff, just as an example, or the wheels. for
Yeah.
all I know.
I mean, I know the basics ones, but I wanna like give you something like off kilter. Like I was
Okay.
gonna say like maybe the CD player that doesn't work. No, that's super cool. I don't know. Power steering's pretty sick. I would say. I wouldn't get far without that.
Nah, that's true.
Yeah.
power
that's my
steering
favorite part.
is without power steering it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe
Yeah,
you.
I know.
Yeah, my first car never had power steering.
I stalled my car in the middle of traffic once, like when I was like in Sydney, and like all of a sudden like I couldn't steer, and I was like, what is going on? This is like so hard, but like I was still like coasting a bit. I was like, oh shit, my car isn't on. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh,
See.
dude, talking about.
Sorry.
Oh, you go.
No,
Oh,
no,
no,
no.
you
You go first. What I was saying was not that interesting.
Oh, I was gonna say, talking about broken CD players. When I originally bought this car, like the salesman, he kept talking about the CD player over and over again. He's like, "Yeah, this car's really good. It's got a 6-stack CD player," and I was just like, "Yeah, I don't know CDs. Like, I have a phone, like Spotify, and so like, who cares?" And he's like, "Oh, he's going, but like, you can put 6 CDs in there. Isn't that like epic?" And I'm like, "No." It's like, okay, yeah, I'll buy this car purely for the CD player. That's sick. Anyway, years later, I'm like telling like my girlfriend at the time, I was like, yeah, 6-stack CD player, isn't that like epic? And she's like, do you even own CDs? I'm like, no. We drove out to like this like little indie concert thing. It was like this new artist, and he was like really cool, really enjoyed his stuff. And afterwards, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm selling CDs, by the way." And I'm like, "Oh, this is like my chance." So like, we went up to him, said hi and stuff, bought the CD like from him, and I was like, "Yeah, sick." He's like, "Dude, like, thanks for supporting." We get in the car. I put the CD in, and I'm like, "Oh, here we go." We start driving, and it's just scratching noises
Oh
over and
no!
over again. It's like, and you can faintly hear the music. I'm like, what the hell? Did he just give me like a bad CD? I feel like I've just been scammed by this guy. I'm like, oh well, whatever. He got like $15 off me supporting like Australian artists. That's cool. Not that pissed, right? But then I got home and I was like, Dad, have you got a CD? I just want to try something. Turns out the CD player just never worked. Like ever, the whole time I owned this car.
Oh
So
no!
this guy was trying to really sell me on the CD player that wasn't like functional anyway. So yeah,
Yeah, that's
So-
funny. Did you end up changing it out to another CD player, or?
no, I see the car doesn't have an aux cable in it either. It has like a different plug. So I
Yeah.
had to get a converter into aux. But then all
Ah.
the phones don't have headphone jacks anymore. So I have a converter from whatever it is to aux, then
Oh my
aux to
God.
USB-C, and then that's in my phone now. So anyway, I use my phone to play music. I haven't changed any of the dash head. on
So-
my car yet, but
I used
was
to have.
considering it.
Have you ever used those radio transmitters?
oh yeah.
So that's what I
used
used.
to do that. Actually.
Yeah, that's what I used to do on my first car because it had a tape deck.
Oh.
Because it was that old, and so I used to have a plug-in like cigarette lighter AM FM radio converter, and then I used to use that to basically broadcast across a single that I would tune into the radio, and then that would be how I'd listen to my music. And then I got pissed off with that, so then I ripped the fucking tape deck out and threw it in the bin, and then got an aftermarket one, and then I got aftermarket speakers that did not really fit in the laser, and so I made them fit. And the back seats had like speaker boxes, like that big, just bolted to the back of the chair.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it was like a boombox of the car. And then when I got the Commodore, I did the same thing. I ripped out the CD player that was in the laser. No, actually, I take that back. The CD player and the laser was my brother's old CD player, which had Bluetooth and an auxiliary port and whatnot. And I bought a Fusion CD head that had the Bluetooth phone connectivity as well, so people could call me on the phone. Because I've always liked hands free for phones. It's kind of a thing that I've always sort of like looked for in a car. Because I don't like answering the phone or looking at my phone or touching my phone when I'm driving. So
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I need to start looking into that more because I got a Pixel phone, so you can like yell at it and be like, "Hey, call this person," and it'll do it. But other than that, like sometimes it just like bugs out.
Yeah.
So, like I need a better system because I was going. I don't mind saying where because like this was AJ, but I was going down Mount Ousley, which is like near Wollongong, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of gets like steep there. And I got a text from a friend being like, "Where are you? Like, are you coming to dinner soon?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like I'm just on this mountain." I'm like yelling at my phone. I'm like, "Text this person," and it's like, "What's the message?" And then I'm like, "Yeah, I'll be there soon." And then it'll just freeze. And then I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to like re-trigger this again." So I'm like, text the person, and it says, "Text the person. Do you want me to send that message now?" It like literally sent their like name back to them. And I was like, "No!" And it's like sending message. I'm like, "This isn't right. That's not what I want." So it's like, "Where are you?" And it's like, "Text here." And they're like, "Okay."
I did this. I was like doing that the other day. I was like, "Can you call such and such?" And it's like, "I'm sorry, I do not understand what you mean." I'm like, "Can you call such and such? Do you want me to call your father?" I'm like, "What the fuck?"
No.
It sounds like the phone is like, okay, you're in trouble now.
It's like fucking Google, man. Because I got a Pixel as well. I got a Pixel 6.
Oh yeah.
It's a good phone. Like shit's all over Samsung and Apple. I'm so happy with it.
Yeah. No, I really like the Pixels as well.
Yeah, the camera's good. It's cheap. It's not a rip-off, and it's got a lot of data, and, like a lot of storage, and yeah, it's good. It's fast. I haven't got no faults with my phone. But
Can you take the back out of those and replace the battery?
no.
Oh, I don't know,
But did you hear
'cause I
that
think they're waterproof?
Yeah, they are. But did you hear the EU's passed legislation that they're going to force companies to do that again?
Okay.
Oh, that'd be good actually.
That would
Yeah.
be good.
'Cause I was starting to get annoyed
Yeah.
with that.
Because it's because of environmental reasons. Because when people's batteries die on their phones, they just get a new phone. It's just a waste of resources.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
the EU's like, no, you have to be able to replace the battery.
Because then it's less waste in general, which I wholeheartedly support. And you can repair. It's an easy fix.
It is. It's just a plug and play.
I'm always surprised like how like little years people keep their phones for. Because like my first phone, I had it for like 6 years, and I would always pull the back off of it, replace the battery, replace anything that was like broken. But then when I got my Pixel, I was like, "Oh, I can't do this anymore. Like this kind of sucks." Like,
Yeah. But to be fair though, I think the Pixel lasts a long time because people still got the Pixel 3 and they're still going strong. So
Oh, really?
yeah.
Okay.
So I reckon it'll be fine. It's only Apple really that I don't think would last that long, and it's not because the phone won't last long. I just think it's because they purposely fuck it.
I reckon they do, because there's no way that Apple, a tech giant that would literally built its business on tech reliability, has just crap phones 30
Yeah.
years after it made really good computers.
But they don't
There's just
even
no
make
possible
they
way.
don't even make good computers anymore.
I
Like
know.
it pisses me off. Like why do they solder the battery on compute? Like a lot of their batteries
Do
now,
they?
yeah, they're soldered to the motherboard now.
Oh my god!
So they're not-
I
they're
don't
not
know, It's
e-
like we're going back to like Pokemon
Yeah.
cartridges or whatever. They're like,
Yeah.
this is a cool idea. No one can replace the battery when it goes out. Your save data's gone.
Yeah, I know. Fucking stupid.
One thing that
Um,
Apple did that pissed off a lot of music producers is they replaced a lot of. They basically made the FireWire cable redundant. But the thing is, a lot of the old audio technology from the 2000s were all run on FireWire. So you had all these music producers with tens of thousands of dollars of audio equipment that they just can't use anymore.
Oh.
That's why you should never buy into proprietary.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a fool's errand because
Yeah.
like all those people that bought the fucking original iPhone like cables and all those charging cables and headphone jacks and all that stuff that no longer work with any iPhone or any other appliance now.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
I always
Although-
get like that's a hard game to play though, because like I'll talk to friends and they're like, I want to like future proof like this like technology for like the next 5 years, and I'm like, oh, can you guess that far ahead? Like, what's gonna
Yeah.
be like popular
Yeah.
then? Like, I don't
Well,
know.
like-
They're gonna-
man. Like,
In
Like,
about 3 years' time, you got a 5-year time span. In 3 years' time, they're going to invent a cable that's faster than your
Yeah.
current cable, and you think, "Oh, I want to upgrade, but
Yeah.
I'm going to upgrade the whole fucking thing." And the other thing, the other side of that too, is that with USB-C being being one cable, I actually kind of realized why AV have so many freaking cables and so many different types of connectors. It actually makes it a hell of a lot easier in a weird place, because if you've got a USB-C but you don't know where to plug it into the amplifier input or the amplifier output, you're kind of screwed.
yeah. Like-
And 'cause-
Like
Yep.
sorry, I keep interrupting you.
That's all right. For example, like Lightning 3 uses USB-C, but you also need to have the technology that understands the protocol of Lightning 3. I think it's Lightning 3.
Yeah, something
I
like
don't
that.
remember. I don't. It's one of those. One of those protocol technologies that runs off USB-C, but you've also got to have a decoder for it. It doesn't just work with USB-C.
Lightning is
Totally different protocol.
Lightning is shit. I don't understand why people fucking love it so much, because like I know people that use it to like run the monitors, so they use Lightning to like run on their computer to display a picture, and I'm just like, why would you use that when that's just gonna use up your USB bandwidth?
Thunderbolt. That's what it's called.
Thunderbolt, yeah,
sorry.
Thunderbolt. Yeah. Well, it's still Lightning. Lightning and Thunderbolt are pretty much similar. It's just the Lightning, I think, is the older version of it.
I think so. I'm
Yeah.
not entirely certain
But
about that.
Thunderbolt is what I'm referring to in terms of connecting to your monitors and stuff. But like,
Yeah.
so the EU has basically gone and said as well. So like the phone thing, they're like, okay, so phone companies after such and such time going to have a replaceable battery for, you know, that sort of scenario. But then they're like, also we are going to mandate standardizing every appliance to run off of USB-C, because
Yeah, I
we're
do
sick
remember
and
them
tired.
saying that.
Yeah, because we're sick and tired of people being stuck with micro USB, Thunderbolt, and all this shit. And so they're like, nah, USB-C standard. And then Apple turned around and said, okay, no worries, but due to the safety of our appliances and the safety of the user, we're going to limit any bandwidth of anyone that uses USB-C instead of a dedicated Thunderbolt port.
Oh my god. How fucking petty do you have to be to do that?
The annoying thing is
Oh
the
my
gauge
God.
of the Thunderbolt wire and the gauge of the USB-C wire are exactly the same. They can do the exact same thing. The only difference is, like Smithy said, has a fucking coder on the other side. That's it.
Yeah.
It's the only
Yeah.
difference. Like,
So I remember when I first heard this, and there were like two things that came up. Like the one concern was like, oh, what if there's like a better like transfer rate than USB-C like in the future? What are we gonna do then? And it's kind of like, okay, we'll just like wait and see when that happens. But the other curious thing that like I heard about was apparently Apple wasn't actually pushing back against like the USB-C change. Because like normally they would, and I think they actually made the Thunderbolt thing open source as well because they were trying to get other people to adopt it. So they'd be like, "Oh, so it's competitive against USB-C."
Yeah.
But people were trying to guess like, "Oh, why weren't they pushing back against the USB-C thing?" And one of the theories going on there, by the way, this is always like skeptical land,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you
yeah.
can take it all with a grain of salt. But they were guessing that they were just going to get rid of the port completely, and then they're just going to do wireless charging, and then there's no USB-C port at all, and then they're compliant with the law because if there is no port, then like there's nothing they can do, and then they just do all their transfer like wirelessly and blah blah blah. Then they can just like sidestep the whole law and then like have extensions or whatever. So
How
be
s-
interesting to see if that's
how
what they do.
how effective is wireless charging on a fucking computer though? On a laptop
Ugh.
or a
I
tablet?
wouldn't expect it to be
I
very, I wouldn't expect it to be
wouldn't-
very effective.
I like even wireless charging in your phone is shit. Like
Mm,
compared to just plugging it directly in, because it takes a while, and then like a lot of the energy is lost from heat. So
yeah.
so like it's not effective at all. Like if I put my phone on wireless charging, it'd probably take maybe 2 hours to charge from flat. Where if I plug it directly in, it's like 20, 25 minutes with a 5 amp fucking Google thing that it comes
Yeah, it's not
that I
even
get.
close.
Yeah. It's amazing how quick
Is
that
it-
phone charges.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, Apple's branding is like quite incredible because like see, I even forgot that they made computers because like they just like went so hard
Yeah.
in on like their phones and stuff. And that's the other thing, like you guys were mentioning earlier, like, oh, their phones don't last that long. But I don't think anyone realizes either because people are just like so used to like, oh, new phone. Oh, I guess I'll get that. It's
Yeah.
been 2
Yeah.
years. Yep. That's how long a phone lasts for.
And like
And,
these people are always
yeah.
continuously getting new contracts and therefore always in debt for a fucking phone.
Yeah, that's the part that scares the crap out of me because I'm terrified of debt. I hate debt so much, and so if you just renew your contract every year, it's like congratulations, like $2,000. Even if you know, even if they wipe $1,000 off of your debt each time, it's like, well, then you're still $1,000 in debt because there's a $2,000
Yeah.
phone. But I'm pretty sure I'm wrong about that. But just as a hypothetical.
Well, you pay more for the phone's worth by the end of the contract anyway. That's always how it
Yeah,
works.
absolutely.
It's pretty much it's a loan essentially.
It is.
It's there used to be a time where like when you got a plan with a phone included, at the end of the cost when you've paid off your phone, you actually save money on the phone. But those days are like long gone, and now like
Yeah.
because I calculated because they were trying to convince me to go on a plan to buy my phone. I'm like, I'd rather pay $700 and buy it outright than spend over $1,000 on paying it
Yeah.
off.
Absolutely.
Like, why? Where's the justification? Then they're like, "Oh, it's a good
There
deal." And
is
I'm like,
none.
"How's it a fucking good deal?" Like, I pay $7.99. I pay $7.99 now, or pay $1,500 in a year's time. Where's the justification? And then
There
I
is-
also
there
have
is
to
none.
pay. Yeah, and then I also got to pay the phone bill on top.
Oh no,
So-
Hunter, you don't understand. It's a good deal.
It's a good
for
deal.
us.
Yeah, so
For
Yeah, for us. Yeah, because the way they market it is like, oh well, like you only have to spend $50 this month, so now you have like an extra $200 to spend on other stuff that you probably don't need anyway, but your brain's gonna like hardwired to just consume shit, so you're just gonna do that anyway.
yeah.
Mm-mm.
But you know, I've got the
So-
the $800 now. I'm just gonna give you $800 and be done with it.
So yeah, it was
So
they were going to charge me. Sorry for interrupting you. But so their
No,
plan
you're
was
good.
$125 a month,
Holy shit!
right, for 12
Yeah.
months.
Yeah,
So that's $1,500 there, right? But then you got to add your additional $40 phone bill on top. So
What?
for that full year, I would be
Uh,
paying,
Oh.
you know, that on top.
that's crazy.
Like,
I'm
why
so
would I buy
dumb.
that?
No, that's dumb.
What am I, 12? Anyway,
really
sorry
want
for
to move
interrupting you.
everything to like subscription services.
Oh, I
basically.
hate
They're
that
like,
so
this
much.
thing that you can just own. Let's make it a subscription service. Because I remember we're trying to get an iPhone 11 for like a friend of ours, and they were all just selling out because it was like a new release, and the only phones that actually existed were the ones that like Hunter's describing, where it's like, hey, you buy this for this much, and then you pay this much each month, and then here's the plan. And then they were like, well, I want to keep my phone number. And they're like, no, you can't do that. It's like, can we just give you extra to buy this phone right now? And they're like, no, that's not what this phone's for. And it's like, it sounds utterly deranged when you're like, what? So you're telling me this phone isn't meant to be bought out as a phone? I got to like use it as like this ongoing purchase for like 2 years. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense to me. So
Telstra did that with my mum. She paid off her phone, and then Telstra sent her a message, sent her like a message and email on all that. What it was official and all that sort of stuff. They said, "Cool, you paid off your phone. Now give it back, please."
Wait, what?
what?
I'm not even kidding you. She explained this to me. I'm like, that does not make any fucking sense.
What was it? Did she accidentally lease a phone?
She may have very well leased the phone for like a 2-year contract, and then like after the 2 years was up, she was like, they were like, okay, you can give it back
That's
now.
insane.
Like, I want to give it back.
Well, since when did Telstra fucking have a lease on phones?
I don't know.
What the
like,
fuck are they? Rent to buy?
It was it's so no, it's not even rent to buy. It's just like rent to convenience yourself for the next 2 years. But yeah, the move to subscription based infuriates me because I think it was a year or two ago. I bought a program called Line Art Studio. It's a clip studio art. And I bought a perpetual license for it for something like $250. I thought, yeah, that's a good deal. Like, you know, I have this one license and it's going to last me forever. That's what I want. I specifically bought it for the perpetual license. 10 months later, I get a fucking email from Clip Studio saying, oh, yes, by the way, we're going to a subscription-based business model. I think, you pricks. I bought a perpetual license and I can't even use it.
Well, they're meant to honor the perpetual license for the version that you have, and when they do
and that's what they're doing.
Versions. Oh, okay, yeah, but like it's
Yeah.
still like not okay because then like you're just stuck on like this older one.
Yeah, well,
as
I don't mind that so long as it works. If it stops
Yeah.
working, then I get
And
upset.
it's like an issue. You get red in the face. Be like,
Yeah.
Please, download. Yeah. That's my internal struggle nowadays. Like when I'm trying to like buy any software, it's just like, oh, new Ableton. Is this subscription based or not? I don't know. I don't think it is. But then they just always release a new version, and then you upgrade to the new version for
Yeah,
an
that's the way
amount.
it
I'm
should
like,
be.
okay, yeah, that's not bad. Like that doesn't annoy me because it's like they have an incentive to actually improve the software then for like a price. Because like say if they release a new version, there's no difference, and it's like, why am I going to buy it? So
I
it's
think
like,
that's
cool,
what's
you're actually
happened.
yeah, well, it's like it's
Sorry.
good. Like they're making like good software then. But then like something like video editing software where you gotta like pay so much per month, like in Adobe or whatever. I'm just like, why why I don't really get the I don't get the appeal. And then
Yeah.
people like flog out
'Cause-
the money and then they don't have any incentive to improve their products because they're getting money per month.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh,
Well, that's
man.
like Microsoft Office when they brought out the subscription. Like I've never ever bought into their subscription because it's a waste of money because they haven't changed Microsoft Office since fucking 2008. They just changed the look and then they're like everything's the same. So what I do is I use CD keys off of some reputable companies.
Sure.
Yeah, you get it off
Yeah.
eBay, right? That's
Yeah.
like when you activate
Well,
Windows and you
yeah,
buy a CD
yeah,
key off eBay
yeah.
for $1. Yeah.
Well, I paid $30 to get Microsoft 2021 Pro. And I
So wait, how much is it normally? Because I'm out of that ecosystem. I just use Google Docs.
it's like normally like nearly $200.
What?
Far out.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
For writing down. Oh my god,
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, and I paid
actually
like
don't
$40.
Oh, wow.
And I own it forever too, so it's great.
Yeah.
I can re-download it onto another because it's linked to my account, so I can just download it to another PC too. It's not even hardware locked like
Yeah.
Windows 11
Oh,
is
wow.
or Windows 10.
Nice.
Oh my god.
So yeah. So when I get a new computer, I'll use the CD key again to get Windows 11 Pro. And I paid $15 for that for my mum.
Far out.
Yeah, fuck paying full price. But it's legit. It's not even pirated. That's the funny thing about it. So they just these companies
Wow.
these companies buy it in bulk. So they buy like CD keys from Microsoft Direct in bulk, and then they sell it cheap. Yeah.
Like, that's the crazy thing too, is that if Microsoft just didn't rip off their customers, they'd still make a lot of money and people would actually use it because, you know, people will say, oh, it's affordable, so I'll just get it.
Yeah, it pisses me off because, like, I know they spend a lot of money in R&D, but like their Windows systems are out long enough that basically it more than pays for itself, even if they charge it at an affordable price. So by them ripping people off and forcing people to pay ridiculous amount of money for something you have to basically get, unless you want Linux or Apple, and then Apple's still not like cheap by any means necessary. Like when they bring out
Apple's
a new PC with Apple, they don't even come out with fucking replacement parts. So like, yeah. So if something goes wrong, you have to get a whole new computer again, and then you have to start from scratch again. So
Oh no, that's a terrible idea.
I had been wondering whether a lot of the tech companies are just doing this, like, because the prices sound ridiculous to us, but like $200 for like Microsoft Word is like cheap for like a company.
Oh
And
yeah.
at the end of the day, like a lot of the companies are using Word and all that. Because I feel like most like students nowadays would just try and like use like Google Docs or something, like a free version instead, or like whatever the school gives them.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they're just trying to rip off companies, you know, where it's just like, oh yeah, well like we got our brand here, everyone knows Word, so we'll just charge them as much as we can. So
well, that's like the prices for like graphics cards and stuff, I think, is purely because of the crypto mining and stuff like that. Like they're asking exorbitant prices for something that the general public can't afford because they know that big companies that are into data mining or now AI are starting to buy them up and they can afford them. Because like apparently like the new graphics card lines are being bought up left, right, and center by AI producers.
Yeah, exactly.
Which annoys me because like there's dedicated AI cards now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yet,
well,
like
it's
buying
kind of like a slow transition there because I was I actually went to a talk the other day. I'm one of these AI guys, by the way. I'm sorry. But,
no, it's so good. So good.
I went to this talk the other day, and they were talking. It was some talk by Google, and they're like, "Let's give you a history of AI." And I was like, "I already know this," but he genuinely started it with, "Oh yeah, so it's actually kind of because of gamers." Because they had all this graphics cards and they're really good for doing like parallel compute for like games because they want it to like run quickly. And then we're like, wait, that'd be good for like all our models and all the stuff that we're trying to do. So then we just started using them. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Okay. So they actually, this Google guy was crediting just like normal gaming for the reason that they were using graphic cards in the first place. And I was like, oh, okay. Interesting. So
bastards.
I'd like to see. I know. Yeah, well, they should just like specifically build the hardware for like non-gaming.
They have,
and then use those for So
they've been doing it for years. They've been doing it for years. So you know about the Quadro cards, don't you?
I do. So my other computer has a Quadro in it. Actually.
Oh wow, really?
This. Yeah. So that's another story. I'll come back to it. You finish your thoughts. So,
Iminix is obsessed with AI.
Yeah, I'd imagine that. I'm intrigued to listen to your thoughts on AI and whatnot. I'm on the fence of like AI is a tool, and it's a tool that's going to be useful. It's not something that's going to be taking over our fucking jobs or anything like
This is
No.
what I'm always trying to
Yeah.
explain to people because,
It's
like,
not.
I've been streaming a bunch as well, and someone
Yeah.
was asking me, "It's like, do you trust AI?" And I was like, what do you mean, like, trust?" Because I'm trying to see where they're at, and they're like very worried that, like, oh, I was like, AI is gonna like take over and like blah blah blah, and like everyone's putting like too much in it. And
Nah.
I'm of like the view set. It was like, well, it's like a tool sort of thing. So it's like, how much do you trust that tool? And the problem with like ChatGPT now is everyone's trusting ChatGPT to the extent of, oh, it just tells me the answers, yay, pog. And then they don't think about like what
Yeah.
answers they're getting.
Yeah.
But like the level of trust you should have towards it is here's like my mental framework is you treat it like a coworker.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that's humanizing it a bit, but it's kind of like to the point where it's like you ask your coworker a question and they answer and you'd be like, well, I don't think you know what the fuck you're talking about, sort of thing,
Yeah.
right? And that's how you should be treating ChatGPT. Sometimes you're going to have those people where you ask questions and they definitely know that area like very well. And then other times, like imagine going to ChatGPT, it's like, yeah, so like my mom's been yelling at me about like all the stuff lately. Am I the asshole? And ChatGPT goes, yeah, you're the asshole. And you're like, you know what? I think I trust you. Yeah, that's epic. Like I don't like you wouldn't do that with a random coworker. Like they would give you a nonsense answer too. So yeah, it'd be interesting.
I got in an argument with ChatGPT.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
Okay.
You get it. It's like the online field is not enough for you anymore. You don't argue with people anymore. You argue with computers because that's the level of argumentation
I'm sorry,
you're at now.
It's not smart. It's an idiot.
That's probably why you're arguing with it.
So when I was at uni, I did a course on nuclear stuff. Okay, I can't say it right now. I'm too tired to be able to say it properly. But anyway, nuke shit. So in my brief time of doing a little bit of study, this was just like an interest course for me. It was free. It was good, very interesting. And the lecture was talking about a scientist who basically came up with the idea of creating a time machine, and he built this time machine and it worked. A lot of people know about it that are in the field, and a lot of people don't know. It's not like, he stepped back in time and like saw himself, and it's not like that at all. It's know how it works. Basically, essentially what it was he looked at the sun and he theorized that because of the light particles from the sun, there's a time dilation around from gravity and light speeding up particles faster than the speed of light, causing basically like a vortex type scenario. So he theorized that if I use light to speed up particles in a vacuum in a vortex scenario, then I could introduce particles that are known to travel through time that can pop in and out of existence. Essentially, I could then create basically a portal essentially within this space that anyone at any point in time can put in a particle and communicate with one another. So while this machine is on, someone 5 minutes in the future can introduce a particle, and 5 minutes in the past you will see it. So basically the particle, so the particle will be introduced, and at any point in time that you're looking at the machine and going and reading the readings and whatnot, you will see the particle, and it will have like each particle that he set up would introduce with like a meaning or time stamp, essentially. So he had specific particles that he would introduce into the machine that will basically represent a certain time from past, present, or future that he was going to conduct his experiment. So he turned this machine on, and then funnily enough, 5 minutes in the future, the particle with the timestamp 5 minutes, and it works, appeared as soon as you turn it on.
Yeah.
And then 5 minutes, he added the particle as well. And then basically that's essentially how it worked. So it was really cool. And I told ChatGPT about this, and I even fucking sent it the link to the article.
Yeah.
And it says, I've never heard of this. I don't understand what you're talking about. There's no such thing as time machine. It's only theoretical. And I'm just like, no, here's the link, dickhead. Like, and then it's
Oh
like,
my
don't
God.
take that tone with me.
Yeah.
And
Oh
then-
my God.
and then,
I had
uh,
a similar. Oh, it's okay. Keep
And
going,
then
keep going.
this scientist who created that is also the one that is an Indian scientist, and is also the fella that's been working on the warp drive in NASA.
Mm.
It's the same person that basically did all this.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
He's a
insane then.
very
What the
busy
hell?
person. He must get up
Yeah.
very early in the
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah, he's
Oh my
incredibly
God.
smart. Yeah.
I've never heard of that. That is so cool. Because I was going to ask you as well. It's like when he turns it on, like, does he see the thing from 5 minutes in the future, like, immediately appear?
Yeah, immediately
like, that
appear,
must, like-
basically. Essentially, that's what it said in the
Yeah.
article anyway, yeah.
Oh my God.
It's
But that
weird.
would mess with me. Like, imagine
Yeah.
seeing it appear and then having the thought of like, okay, so I'm not going to put it in then.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't that break anything? Or he's like, oh no, like I will do it. Otherwise, like, it won't.
I
like,
don't
know.
think the
That would
way
fuck
it
with my brain.
explained it,
Yeah.
it's like a window, right? So this window exists and a box is there, right? And that box has been there for thousands of years, and every single person, no matter what, through time, will walk past this window and see this box from when it was like
Okay.
first made.
Huh.
Why are you
That's
giving me funny
interesting.
looks? Can you pour me a drink too, please? So Ray just give me funny looks as she walk past. Yeah, so
You talking about that box again?
yeah, so like imagine, so you build a window 1,000 years ago and it's in a vacuum.
Yeah.
There's a box in there, and because it's in a vacuum, just hypothetically it never gets affected by weather or change or anything like that. So the box remains mint
Yeah.
condition, same color, same everything. All through time that window in that room is preserved, anyone that walks past it will see exactly the same thing as each point in time that it exists. That's essentially what it is.
Okay. Yeah.
And
that's
technically
kinda interesting.
speaking, our sun is that.
Oh, really?
Because
Huh.
the way he theorized the sun warps time around it, the sun that we see now is the same sun we see 5,000 years ago, in theory. It blows my mind a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how 100% true that is. I guess it's kind of like
Yeah.
the same argument that when we look at the stars, we're looking at the stars that are over like 5 million years old or something like that.
Mhm,
You know, that star probably doesn't
Yeah,
even
that's
exist
so
there if we were to
cool.
teleport there instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
I'm always like so
Yeah.
intrigued by that.
That is
Yeah.
something that I've thought about. Is if we would actually
Yeah.
get to a star, would it just disappear?
I think it would,
Is the
yeah.
light still traveling
Because
to us, but the star's gone.
I've actually seen a star go supernova too.
Like
Oh, really?
Yeah.
through a telescope sort of thing, or like on video.
No, he was there.
No,
I was-
shut up!
I
I,
was
knew you were
there.
gonna
Hunter-
fucking say that.
Hunter
I
was
knew you were gonna
floating.
say that.
I was
before I
like-
I
finished.
was floating in
Yeah,
space
this
and
is
I
sick.
just was watching it blow up and it was just, taking all the radiation.
So
Nah.
I've been playing Outer Wilds lately. Have
Yeah.
you two seen this game at all?
Out of
Oh,
wild.
I've heard of it. I've never
Yeah.
played it, but I've heard of it.
Okay, I'll give you the premise. It's like a space exploration game in a sense.
Yeah.
And, there's like this they call them the Nomai. They were trying to like work out more about like the universe and blah blah blah. But the point is the sun goes supernova in that. That's the link here. And you could be flying around and the sun goes supernova next to you. You're just like, damn it, okay. and then the game will sort of reset. But I think it's really interesting. So all I was going to say is Hunter must be living in this parallel world with this supernova sun that keeps happening over and over again. It's like, Spliffy, let me tell you about supernova stuff. well acquainted with it.
No, it was
So how did you see it, by the way?
so when I was in primary school, we had to do we did like a little astronomy class, and they had like a guest astronomer come in, and he was explaining that at such and such time on a date that a star was going to go supernova, and he said you could see it with the naked eye when it goes because it was like X amount of
Really?
distance from us. And we're like, okay, so what's going to happen is like you'll go really bright, and then it'll just disappear. And we're like, okay, cool.
Oh.
And so that night, like I was like talking with some friends the next day, and talking to them on MSN, those old days. Yeah, so we all got out at night, and it was like luckily a crystal clear night, and yeah, we all saw it. It was really cool. It just like you're looking at a star, and it goes really, really bright, and then it just disappears. It's
That's
cool,
so
and
weird,
now
yeah.
the star's not even there anymore. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's crazy.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have loved to seen it through a telescope, but I reckon it might have burnt my eyes or something like that. I don't know.
Have
I
to
don't-
get like a special lens.
I
Or something,
don't know,
or,
yeah.
like, filter.
But yeah, it was pretty bright too. Like it you could clearly see it get like because it looks like a sphere still, but you can clearly see it just go out, and then it just fades away. So
Man.
yeah,
Yeah, I should keep in like I should keep up more with like star and space stuff. It seems really cool. It's been a long time since I've like ever looked at any stars.
yeah.
I remember like when I was like 9 or 10, like having like one of those like barbecue like blowout type things at like a mate's place. I was like laying on the trampoline, like looking up at the stars and stuff. And like 10-year-old mind, right? So it's like, oh my god, if we see a shooting star, you can make a wish. I'm like laying there with my friends. Shooting star goes past, and they're like, oh, you should make a wish. You're like, make one now, but like, don't tell me. And then like I made one. They're like, did you make like a really good one? And I was like, yeah. And I reflect back on it now. I'm pretty sure I just wished for like a fucking PlayStation 5 or something. What a like fucking dumbass kid. Dude. Like, it makes like no sense. Could have been like, yeah, you know what? I wish I was like in a high-rise building in Sydney or something. Like I could have picked any like location or place in the world, but I'm like, nah, PlayStation. That's where it's at.
Did you get the PlayStation though?
No, I didn't get the PlayStation.
Okay.
I'm so happy I fucking did it. No, but that's the thing. It's like, no, you don't get it if you tell someone. And you know what? I think I started telling people because I was embarrassed about my wish so bad. You know how like people have like the best interests at their heart. That kid did not have my best interests at heart. So like, fuck him. I'm just gonna ruin his wish. I'm not telling anyone.
If you ever travel to South Australia, I'll continue that when he gets back.
Yeah, no worries. And if we ever travel to South Australia, we need to do some PlayStation stuff. Do all sorts of PlayStationing.
You know, Spliffy, I don't
still
think.
hear
Okay. I was going to say, if you ever travel to South Australia, you need to go to Arkaroola.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an it's at top end of Flinders Ranges. It's near the Northern Territory border. It's actually not that far from where they do the Mars testing.
Oh, that's
yeah.
cool.
They the NASA's got like a setup out there, and they like have rovers and like space fucking tents and shit like that. It's pretty cool. But so in Arkaroola they have like an observatory to look at the stars. It's because it's like one of the highest points in Australia. And when you go there, fuck the nights, man. You can see galaxies and nebulas and everything. It's amazing.
Oh wow!
Yeah, you can see
so
everything
good.
without a telescope and everything. It's just so crystal clear.
Okay, we need to go there one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to go there actually. That's so they probably have like strict rules on like light pollution and stuff there, I would imagine. So
No, it's the middle of a desert.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
that makes sense.
I'm just gonna bring a big DeWalt LED just to wash out all the stars.
I'll see if I can show a picture. Like, you know, this is on their website, so just ignore the AI trying to chat to me at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Are you getting into another argument? Are you arguing with an AI as we're talking about you arguing with AI?
Look at that night sky. I know that's open exposure and whatnot, but you can actually see that when you go out there.
Oh wow,
it's gorgeous, and you know that's fun too. The Ridgeback tour, so you go on the back of the Land Cruiser and you go up top of the mountains and you get to see all the mountain ranges, and it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, that's awesome. Actually,
So
I'll
yeah,
keep that one.
this
in
is
mind.
actually the
Yeah.
village here. Like that's the village. It's very small. So yeah, I stayed when I was there. I stayed up in the creek over there. But yeah,
Hell yeah.
that's the ridge. That's the top of the Ridgeback tour. You get to go up and see all the shit up there. It's pretty crazy up there, actually. Like, look how small.
I'd imagine so.
Look how small it is up there for not much room to turn around and whatnot.
No.
Wouldn't recommend driving. I wouldn't recommend going up here in a sedan. I would definitely get a full drive.
Yeah, that
Right,
makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, and these hot springs are very radioactive.
Oh, really?
They're
Was that
incredibly
because of the-
radioactive. It's all
that
new.
because
The
of the
whole place.
nuclear-
Yeah, this whole place is
nuclear
nuclear.
testing?
No, this place is nuclear, like radioactive, like uranium's everywhere.
Okay.
So I, when I went there and I was collecting rocks and stuff, I like brought back all these rocks, and then we were talking to the rangers, and because we got close with like the workers there and whatnot, and we knew the owner, Doug Spriggs as well. Like we got close talking with him and whatnot, and showed him these rocks, and they're like, "Oh no!" And I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "That's uranium. You have like a kilo bag of uranium." And I was just carrying it around with me.
Oh no.
Like a lot of it, they just like got the Geiger counter and it's going, and I'm like, oh no. They're like, it's okay, it's no worse than fucking being X-rayed every few times.
That's what they said in Chernobyl.
So yeah, they used to mine uranium there, but then they kind of tapped it out and they stopped mining there. But the problem was the mining companies destroyed it. So what they were doing is they were drilling these boreholes, and then they'll go down and then bore down into the uranium depositories and then extract it and then go out. So it wasn't like a open cut or an underground mine or anything like that. It was just like they'll go for an area where they know there's uranium and then they'll drill down and then take out as much as possible. So there's these fucking holes everywhere. And so what do? They dump all their rubbish in the holes and then fucking backfill it.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
And so of course, like Doug was like pissed when they did all this because they just trashed his park because it's privately owned. Arkarul is privately owned sanctuary,
Oh
and
wow.
he owns it and looks after it and runs it and stuff like that. So
yeah.
yeah, and he's done a great job. He always flies like down south and whatnot once in a while. But yeah, so it definitely recommend going up there. It's so pretty. But yeah, definitely get a full drive or something because I've seen a lot of sedans tires get completely ripped to shreds by the roads because they're pretty gnarly. Even in full drive, they're gnarly. Yeah, our trailer fell apart on our way there.
Yeah, okay. I'll take it as a warning.
Yeah, the corrugation's bad.
Speaking of travel and time travel and all that, just to loop it back, I'm gonna loop it back all the way. I've been thinking more about my favorite part in my car.
Yeah.
And I think it's my fog lights.
Your fog lights.
Fog lights?
Yeah, that's the only modification to my car that I did with my dad. Right?
Hell yeah.
And I was like, I've never like modded anything in my car, but he's like, we're gonna do fog lights, and it was the sketchiest fucking job that I could have done. But I mean, it's in there, so I'm like, sick. Sorry, I've been holding on to that one for a while, but I was like, yeah, I wanted to give my updated answer on that. But the way it's like connected, right? We didn't connect it to when the car turns on, like like when you like turn it on, like you have all the radio accessories and all that sort of turn on at the same time. It's just either on or it's off. So if the car isn't running at all and you hit the button, it turns the fog lights on, which has like actually gotten me before because when I've like gotten out of the car, I've bashed my knee against the button. And I've walked away from my car, and then I've come back, my battery's strained, and I'm like, oh shit, I left my fog lights on, god damn it. So it is like a kill switch for me, essentially.
Yeah. It's a kill switch with a 20-minute fuse.
Yeah, sounds like you need like a repeater in there or something like that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've never bothered, and then I'm like, oh, it's all right. I'll just put up with it. I'll get my next car and then I'll do it right.
Just get a car that has it already installed.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
mine.
honestly. I don't even think it helps me see that much more though, to be honest. Because like I've turned them on, I'm like, oh, I can see a little bit more out to the sides. But like by the time like anything like stepped into that, like if it was like a kangaroo or anything, I feel like I'm already gonna hit it with that
Yeah.
extra range the fog lights give me. So
Do
I
you
don't
have
know.
laws where like you're not allowed to drive with fog lights on at all unless it's foggy?
Yeah, so
have
it
no
is
idea.
it
Wait,
is
do
it
we?
is technically illegal to
Yeah.
it is illegal to drive with your fog lights on when it's not foggy, but the thing is
Oh,
I've never
is
seen
it?
it is.
Well, lucky,
It is.
lucky I
I've
never
never
used my
seen
fog lights.
Yeah, I've never seen it enforced. I've never seen some. I don't have fog lights on my car, but I've never walked past a cop car, a cop pulling somebody over, saying, "Do you realize you had your fog lights on?" Because that seems
Oh
extremely.
shit, you're
petty.
right.
It is illegal. It is
Yeah.
absolutely illegal. I
Yeah.
remember when I was my driving instructor when we were driving past somebody with I was driving past somebody who had their fog lights on, and she leans over and she points at the car and says, "So do you think you can drive with your fog lights on like that?" And I look at the car and I say, I didn't realize it was a problem, but the fact that you pointed it out indicates no. So I just said no, and she's like, "Yeah, that's right, you can't." I'm like, "Why?" And they just lie.
Yeah.
It's
They're not killing
stupid.
anyone.
It's fucking
It's
stupid.
like-
because the fog lights
it's
point at the
barely-
ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like I
yeah.
see people drive with their parkers on during the
Yeah.
day, and I always wonder why they're doing that. If I turn on my fog lights during the day, it's not like I'm blinding any. I guess I'm blinding
No.
the children that are
Well,
laying on the road.
yeah,
I guess that's
parkers
bad.
parkers on
I
modern
don't know.
cars are always on.
Yeah.
On modern
Oh,
cars,
yeah, they are.
they're always on. Yeah, you can drive a parkers on, but you can't. Yeah, fog. It's always bothered me because I've used my fog lights because I got fog lights in my bull bar, and
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
used them 5 times since I've had my car. And that's because like it was really foggy to the point where I couldn't see the car in front. So I turned the fog
Yeah.
lights on just so I can see the white lines.
Yeah,
But they
of
point at the
course.
fucking ground. That's what they're designed to do. They're designed to sit below the fog so you can see the driving lines so you know where you are.
Yeah.
They're not designed to point
Yeah,
up in the air.
Yeah, can't say I've ever gotten much use out of it. Like I used to drive around some areas that were like really foggy, and then I'd use them. Then I'm like, oh great, but I could probably count on my fingers how many times I've like used them. So
It's not like it gets pretty foggy, but I'm not up that early in the morning to merit ever using them. So
Yeah.
I used to get up at like 4 a.m. like all the time because like I used to do work, and then I used to go to uni, and I used to live like so far away from the uni, so I like get up in the morning as well. So it was useful in a pinch then, but yeah. Nowadays I'm getting up at like really late o'clock. Don't even need to use them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I should just rip that button out, to be honest. I was like so close to hitting it every time I get in the car. Oh man. Yeah, but I don't know. I like little like hacks like that as well. Like my dad's given me car speakers to just use for my computer, which I think it's kind of cool.
That's cool.
actually.
Yeah. Well, it's
So,
12 volt
I got
too,
these-
isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
yeah,
he
Yeah.
so he got himself a little 3D
Actually.
printer, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he doesn't have like a J car near him, but like I have a J car near me. So I'm just like, dude, I'm gonna buy you some like silicon for. Is it silicon for 3D printers? Whatever the no, it's filament. Whatever
It's
the
filament,
is
yeah.
for 3D printers. Yeah. I'm gonna get you that. And so I bought him a whole bunch. And then for my birthday, he comes back. He's like, look what I 3D printed you. And it was essentially it's one of those radio head units from a car. He's put it into like the casing, and then he's rigged it against with the computer power supply. So it's 12 volt. So it's literally a computer power supply, radio head unit combined into one with like this nice casing around it. And then I have these car speakers on my desk. It's very silly.
That's
but I like it.
kind
I
of
think it's
cool. Yeah. You'd get some
Yeah,
good beats
so-
out of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just got the tweeters at the moment. He was
Oh,
saying
yeah.
that I got to buy my own sort of bass speakers
Yeah.
for it, but it's got the plugs for it, so I can just like put it in. It's like, yeah, you should get them, and I'm like, oh yeah, and so I'm gonna have to like work out which ones like I really want. But I like them. It's like way better than any of the speakers I've like ever owned. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's cool.
it's sick.
So I want to open a can of fish here.
Oh, let's go.
Tell me about your AI and your Quadro card and what you do with
Oh,
that computer.
okay.
Yeah.
So I should do more AI stuff. So I
Yeah.
studied AI at uni, and as you probably know, uni gets very theoretical and
Yeah.
swanky with a lot of the stuff. So I know a lot of the sort of math behind it and sort of how they work and train and all that. And so all that background knowledge is good. But then I realized I don't fucking do any AI work like at all. And I'm like, oh, I should like start training stuff and actually like doing models, because like where my interest lies is doing AI for games, so
Yeah.
like self-playing games and all that sort of stuff. So that's where I want to go, but then I just haven't done anything with it because I have all these interests I'm trying to follow. But I have a lot of people in my life that just know I'm interested in AI, so they'll be like, oh, I know you need a graphics card update anyway, so I'm going to get you a graphics card for like your gaming and your video rendering, but this also has CUDA cores in it, which would be like good for machine learning. So they've
Yeah.
always like kept that in mind for me, which has been nice. But my roommate, he was browsing Facebook Marketplace, and I have no idea how he came across this. He came across an office computer, right?
Yeah.
That they were selling, and it has a Quadro card in it for whatever reason. So he bought that computer, and then he gave it to me. He was like, "Yeah, you could just use this for whatever." And I'm like, "What was an office like workplace doing with the Quadro
They're
card?"
probably doing
It's like,
AI.
Yeah, but the
yeah,
problem.
I don't know.
Yeah, but it's weird though because Quadro cards aren't designed to be in a case; they're designed to be in a server rack. Because they don't have fans. Well, they normally don't anyway. Does yours have a fan?
I can look. So the interesting thing about this is you can just pull the casing off. It's got like one of those quick like release sort of things. So yeah, very weird computer. And the more I've like messed around with this computer, the more I've just realized like if you like say if it gets all buggered up, you can just reinstall Windows on it and it just reactivates as well. You don't have to put in like a new CD key or anything like that. So you can just
That's
continuously keep reinstalling over and over and over again. So yeah, I have no idea what the fuck this computer is, but I own it now. And I'm just like, okay. And so I call it like my server computer, but I've only been using it for like stream memes or whatever. At some point I want to like turn it into like a
what CPU did they use for it to pair it with the Quadro?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to have a look. I'll see.
Is it like a Xerion or fucking?
Wait, Xerion. Okay. I hope I'm not getting the specs wrong.
Xerion's like LG's equivalent of a I think it's Xerion. It's like LG's equivalent of the Threadripper or something like that.
Okay. LG. Is it LG or
no Intel? Sorry, yeah. It's an old CPU, but it's like a big fucker.
Yeah, I remember the Xerions.
Yeah.
I think
There's quite a few running around
the Xerions
still.
being on I think back in 2016, they're still selling Xerions.
You can still get them now. People still sell them secondhand and whatnot. They're kind of a shit CPU. They're not. They don't even hold a candle to a Threadripper. But for server stuff, they're fine. They work really well for a server.
Yeah, so it's a NVIDIA Quadro.
Yeah,
I'm just looking at that now. So we know that. So it's a K2000. And then they got this big fuck off fan installed in here as well. Like it's huge. It's
so
like,
does the card have a fan on it itself, or is it just basically a giant heatsink?
Oh, it is tiny. The fan that's on this card. It is like maybe what
Quadro? What,
a little
42?
bit bigger than like a. It's a K2000. Yeah. But yeah, it's like a little bit bigger than like a milk bottle cap. This fan, it's not that big. This fan, yeah. And then apparently it's got a Xeon Intel inside. To the sticker. I can't see the CPU.
So yeah, that looks like that would have been built for a server.
Yeah. So very whack, but yeah, you can just like looking at like the hard drives and stuff. They got like all the. Like the way it's built, it looks like you can quickly take the hard drive out, put in a new one, because they got like this.
Fucking hell!
What do you? Yeah, like it's very interesting. System.
Do you want to know how many transistors it's got?
Wait, how many?
How many?
1,270 million.
1,270 million.
Yep.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. So yeah, needless to say, I own this, and I'm very much underutilizing it. The most I've ever done with it is I streamed VLC on it once, and I played Portal 2 on it once, and that was about it. There you go. I got your Portal 2 tag ready. Yeah, I saw that on your Twitch. Yeah, I finally mentioned it.
Yeah, that's right. Because you owned the record, had the record, didn't you?
I had like various records back in the day, like when I like, first started playing it, because the game came out like 2011, so I was just like quick to it because I got it on release day.
Yeah.
And then challenge mode came out in late November, so I was already it got released in April, came out late November, all the speed running, like inbuilt speed running stuff in the game. And then I was just quick early on it, so I had all this like pre-experience. And then I was pretty dominant for like 2 years, I guess, because I had a friend that I used to run with. We used to do co-op together. So yeah, early days, had a lot of stuff. Nowadays, I'm like barely top 100. Like there are so many like fast runners now. Like some of those kids are like insane. And I went back to like one of my runs, and they're like 5 or 6 seconds ahead on like a level that is like only takes like 12-15 seconds anyway. And I'm just like, what? Like I don't even know where they improved in this. So yeah, needless to say, I'm like washed nowadays. But back then I was like, oh yes, this is like really fun. So but yeah, I just stick around nowadays with that sort of stuff. I just like do little challenge things.
Yeah. I was never that fast at Portal 2. It took me ages to get through some of those levels.
Yeah, well, it feels like cheating, you know, where it's like it's like, oh yeah, speedrun Portal 2, you must be really smart. It's like, no, it's like I looked at the maze on like the Happy Meal box and I already know the answer, so I just like drew the line again, you know. I'm just getting better at redrawing the same line over and over again. But yeah, I don't know. I liked all the optimization stuff. I didn't know it then, but looking back on it now, like completely makes sense why I got interested in like all the AI stuff and like computing and all that, where it's like, oh, it's like optimization stuff. And it's like, that's all I was doing in like speedrunning as well. It's like, how do we optimize this to like save a few frames?
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's like, oh, how do I optimize this program to save a few seconds? It's like the same. Like,
do you think that's how people keep beating the records time and again on Portal 2s? Because the hardware's faster, so therefore it renders faster, therefore your reaction time's faster?
Oh, yeah. No, that's an interesting thing. So I actually had a realization like this when I was running, because I had a shit system. I had I wish I could remember the CPU I had. It was like this really ancient CPU, but for some reason, when they built it, it was just way better than any of the other Intel CPUs they made at the time. So it lasted like an extra 2 years than it should have, sort of thing. So my dad's like, oh, you got one of these, so we can just like hold off on it. But then hardware like got better and I was still on this shitty thing. So I could only play at 30 FPS, where everyone I was running with was running at 60 FPS. Turns out bunny hopping makes a big difference if you're bunny hopping from 30 to like 60 FPS. And I remember when I switched over like years later, and it was kind of dying down for me. Like I wasn't as interested anymore. But 60 FPS, I immediately improved. Like nothing changed. I could just play better now. And I was like, what the fuck? Like it was insane to me. I don't know what that jump would be from 60 to 144. Like I have 144 now, but I know I'm not as like the
I wonder what would happen if I wonder if you paired it with a 4090 and a fucking i9 and just have it on 1080p and have it fucking and just have it bogged down. just bottleneck like crazy and just get like fucking 100 and something frames or 200 frames or whatever fuck it's gonna be.
I do think it's diminishing returns at some point.
Though, I was thinking that too.
As long as it's I think as long as it's like stable, like once you get to like a stable frame rate, and then that's good and you can withstand that, that's pretty much it. And then the quality of life stuff nowadays is like so much better. Okay, so I found this out recently. This like blew my mind. So Portal 2 has atrocious loading times. And you got to remember, it's a game that came out in 2011. So to some extent, you could be like, okay, that's acceptable. But 2011 was like over a decade ago. and I run it on my computer now. I'm like, why are these loading screens so slow? And you compare it to something like Portal 1, where if you load a save, it is like a second for it to
Yeah.
load. Portal 2 will take maybe like 15 to 20 seconds to load. So it's like, what is it doing? I don't understand. A game from 2007 loads faster than a game in 2011. Like, it makes no sense. And I found out the Portal community worked this out. Most of the loading screens in that game is fake. It's all faked. It's actually
Really?
not loading anything. Yeah. And so what they wanted, what I heard from them is they wanted all the loading screens to be consistent across all platforms. Because they released the game on PlayStation and Xbox and all this sort of stuff. And the
Okay.
consoles are slower than PC. So they put in fake loading screens on PC so people weren't going to like bitch about loading screens
Oh
across
my God.
platforms. And so it's one of these things where it's like, does better hardware help you with Portal 2? Well, the thing that actually helped us was they made a plugin that removed all these loading screens so that it could load in a second. And I was using this recently, and I was like, what the heck? I can do so many more runs now. And I'm like, okay to like reset a run because I know it's going to load immediately. Because that was what like irked me so much back in the day. It was like, oh, if you made like a slight mistake, you would want to reset. But at the same time, you have to wait for the loading screen. So maybe I'll just finish what I'm doing, sort of thing. But like nowadays, everyone's like, oh, I messed that up. Like I waste like the minuscule amount of frames. I'm just gonna reset. And you can because you don't get that penalty of like waiting. So yeah, a lot of quality of life features like help with that sort of stuff. So yeah.
I didn't know
Very
that.
interesting.
That is weird because that's also the same with Half-Life 2. Half-Life 2's loading screens was so fucking slow. Even on like a modern computer, I still struggled with it sometimes. It was like, why is it taking so long? It's on an SSD. This game came out before SSDs were readily available. Like, come on.
Yeah. It's funny what games try to do with loading screens. I love when loading screens in games take too long, so then they try to like put in like those mini games on loading screens to like keep you entertained. But those mini games actually extend the loading screens even more. So this is making the problem like even worse.
It's like Skyrim loading
so-
screens. Like I used to download the mods where it's open Skyrim. So then that way, like, there's no loading screens when you go into towns. You just open the door and walk in.
Oh, that's cool.
That's such a good fucking mod. I love it. Like the only loading screens you get is if you go inside a house, which is fair enough, whatever. But like, it's when you think about it, like, I know why they did it is because back in the day when Xbox 360 and all that sort of stuff was around, like they weren't as powerful to be able to like load in the entire world. Where now, like, your computer and Xbox and PlayStation can load in the entire world. Like, it's pretty crazy.
It's got enough RAM in it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I played a game like that recently. It's Viewfinder. Have you seen this game?
No,
I haven't.
Oh, it is incredible. Okay, you should look it up at some point. But basically, you take a picture. So they give you a little Polaroid camera.
Yeah.
You can take a picture of the world, and then the Polaroid would print, and then you can place the Polaroid in the environment, and it copies whatever you took the picture of into the environment.
Oh, that's
like the whole 3D world gets like placed in there.
That is cool.
It is insane, and it's like if you watch videos of it, you'd just be like, "Whoa, that's cool." But playing it, like the first time I played it, because this got released this year, like a few months back.
Yeah.
First time I played it, I just had that moment. I was like, "Oh, what the hell? Like this is like awesome," and I kind of like it took me out of it for a second because I was like, how do they make this? It is not lagging and it's just like seamless. It's like you take a picture of anything, place, boom, it's just there. And it didn't like lag. I didn't see any frame rate drops. I was like, wow, that's like very optimized. And I was going through this whole game because it's kind of like a puzzle game. But like when I say puzzle, I mean like anyone, even if you haven't played puzzle games, like you could play this and enjoy it. Like it's like very cool experience. But I realized I hadn't noticed a single loading screen in the entire game. Level to level, they made it all seamless, but they were doing all the loading on the fly, so you didn't notice any of the transitions. And I was just like, oh, video games are getting like really cool now, like where they can like hide that sort of thing. Like, I really appreciate it.
They're kind of like becoming like a bit of rocket science in of themselves, like in all the little tricks that you can do to make it everything look better.
Have you had a look at 6 Days in Fallujah?
I don't know what this is.
Okay, so it's Do you know
Oh,
what it
sorry,
is,
I'll
too,
let you
Spliffy?
explain. I do know what it is.
Yeah, maybe Spliffy should explain it better.
Okay. So back
Yeah.
in 2000, okay, so real life history right now. Back in 2003, George Bush invaded, I think it was Iraq or Afghanistan. I think it was Iraq. So there was this one town called Fallujah in Iraq where the American army basically was infiltrated to eliminate Iraqi terrorists, the Taliban. And essentially, the violence that erupted from that city was unseen since the Vietnam War.
Oh,
And essentially, 6 Days at Fallujah is a video game replica of that warfare from Fallujah. And the way that people are describing it, and if I'm not mistaken, actual Fallujah veterans helped in making this video game, and it's incredibly realistic. You cannot. So it's not one of these old video games where you just do everything by yourself. You actually have to work as a team, otherwise you will die because you get mobbed by insurrectionists. And it's incredibly realistic.
Yeah, it's a Milsim. So it's cool because it's co-op. So you can have like teams of, I'm not exactly sure, but you know, like say teams of 6 or something like that. And it's PvE. So you have a co-op team and you go against PvE, but it's VR as well.
Oh, wow.
I did not know about the VR.
It's VR as well, and you can move your gun around. You can cock your gun with your VR headset. You can unload it and load it, and it's really cool. And the cool thing about it is every single map you go into is AI generated and rendered, like kind of like Minecraft.
Oh no, I did not know that either.
Really?
So every time you go in, it's a completely different map than the last one. Even though it's the same scenario, same sort of like mission you got to do, and the missions are random. You don't get to choose what mission you do. It's completely random. So each time you go in, it's different.
That would, right, far out.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been watching some gameplay of it, like as you guys were talking, and initially I was like, "Oh, this just looks like every other shooting game," and then I was like, "Wait, they're like going so slow through it."
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this.
Yeah, like you got to be careful because like a shot can come out of nowhere and you're incapacitated because it's a Milsim. So it's like
that's
Operation
it.
Flashpoint or Armor or Squad or something like that. So you get shot, because
you're dead in one shot. It's not one of these things where it takes a whole magazine to kill you with one bullet.
Yeah, it's
One
not
bullet.
Call of Duty where you're a bullet sponge.
Yeah. It's cool.
I've been setting up configurations in Ravenfield like that, where if you get hit with one bullet, you're down.
Yeah.
And it's actually a lot of fun.
Well, me and you played.
It makes you.
Yeah, me and
makes
you
you a hell of a lot more careful. Sorry.
I made like a couple of missions with Spliffy on Armor 3, and so like I got him in charge of a squad, which you didn't like being in charge of people, did you?
I did not like, because the thing is that you can't put me in charge of people if I don't even know what I'm doing myself. I can't tell other people what to do. If I can't tell myself what to do, how are you going to put me in a position where I have to tell other people what to do?
So
I died a lot.
The mission was that there were these insurrectionists. I made the mission myself, and so I made a mission where there was insurrectionists, and Spliffy's team was supposed to surround them on the foot and take out the anti-air and the armored personnel and whatnot. So the anti-air, and then I can come in with air support, and then
that one,
yeah. And like I gave them in charge of a full squad, and they just kept dying. And Spliffy's like, I don't like being in charge of people. They just keep dying on me. And so what I did is I put him as a normal grunt instead, and then they still died, but Spliffy didn't die as much.
And there was this other mission that you made where you got into an aeroplane. I think you dropped me off. No, you dropped me off in a helicopter. Then you went back to when you went back to when you back to the base to pick up a jet. And you're like, "Are you there yet? Are you there yet?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm like 20 kilometers in out. You should have dropped me off like 100 meters away, not 20 kilometers. I'm still running to the location. You're bombing this location. I'm still trying to get there."
Because like when I play Armor or any of those games like Star Citizen or anything like that, I have a full HOTAS set up.
Yeah, he gets fully into
I
it.
get
He's
right
got like
into
a
it,
full joystick and thruster thing and whatnot.
Pedals and everything.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the way you should
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
though,
I fucking
reckon.
love
I
it.
reckon That's fun.
I've always wanted to do it in VR though, so that I can actually turn my head in the game and look. Because there's the one thing that I hate, especially like dog fighting, is like I'm trying to like use the analog stick to like turn around and like follow them. It's really fucking hard. Where like if I had say like Tobii Eye or something like that, and then I could just look and the view changes to where I'm looking. I wish to have something like that, but the computer cannot handle that. No
It's like
way.
you've got like two different you got two options, right?
Yeah.
With the joystick little thumb thing, right? You're either a 70-year-old man with a really bad neck that moves their neck very slowly, or you're that real sporty guy who's able to snap their neck directly into position. And they can just snap their neck directly behind them in an instant.
Because
It's like, what seat am I sitting on?
Because like I struggle in Armor with landing helicopters, and the reason why I struggle with landing helicopters is because I need to look down, and it's really hard to look down while I'm trying to fucking get the collection going, and it's just I end up going too like close to the ground too hard and just die all the fucking time. It's so annoying. Because I
Just jump
can
out, parachute it.
I can like feather it, like it can go in forward and then pull back and then like collection down and then get it to auto rotate, slow me down. I can do it, but the fuck it without actually like looking down, seeing what I'm doing, like it's hard.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
Also doesn't help that my HOTAS is like the cheap version, so it's like a slider in the collection and it's not that great. If I had like a proper like a decent size thrust module, it would be alright where I can actually properly find it in whatnot. But
I reckon by the time you save up for something good, I reckon technology would have caught up to the point where you get something even better than what you expected.
that's why I'm not hurrying, because like they've only just recently brought out like a whole heap of like flight sim gear for the Xbox. Because that surprises me how well Flight Simulator 2020 works on the Xbox. It works flawlessly. I don't ever any issues with it at all. Surprisingly how powerful the Xbox Series X is.
It's probably being programmed for like it to utilize a lot of that hardware as well.
It is, but it's still a lot of power because like the weather's AI generated and the scenery has. I wish they didn't use Bing though. I don't know why they use Bing, but they use Bing to texture it all, so it looks kind of shit. There's like a few plugins on PC where you can put There's a few plugins we can like plug in Google Maps in, and it looks way better. Textures are way better. Yeah. But they're bringing out new Flight Simulator now, so like all that money I spent on fucking planes and shit was all for nothing. Hey, Stumpy, how's it going?
Hello, Stumpy. How are you?
But yeah, yeah, we're pretty good, thank you. I've always wanted to know, AI on games, is it like completely different to say any other AI? So like for example, like you know how Halo Reach AI was pretty smart, where if you were to lose health or something, they'll know to charge you and all that sort of stuff. Is that just a completely different type of AI, or?
So this is my favorite thing about like AI, and when I say favorite, I'm being sarcastic. So AI is the all-encompassing term, and so they basically just use it for branding. So if they want like any like research grants, or they want to like appeal to like a certain market, they'll just say AI. So the term AI is constantly shifting like over and over again to the point where it feels silly when like in video games, they'd be like, yeah, this is AI in video games. And then you got ChatGPT, and it's like, oh, that's AI. And then you have this disconnect. It's like, wait, are these both the same thing? And it's like, no, they're like completely not. So, like ChatGPT, they basically got the computer, quote unquote, I'll like simplify it. They just got it to read like a bunch of text on the
Yeah.
internet, and they trained it up on a model to like learn all that sort of stuff. AI in video games, it's not like they got the it's not like they built the game and then they put a bunch of dudes in there and they just made them all play against each other, sort of thing. So like in Halo, they totally didn't do that. They just made the AI, quote unquote, do particular behaviors, and it's like,
Yeah.
I'll patrol this area, or like if you see this, like aim here, or if you're in this state. So a lot of them are like state machines. So you define the state where it's like, oh, it's the aggressive state, so it'll charge a player if they're doing this, or it's the passive state where they'll kind of just do this idle animation. So a lot of it's kind of like handcrafted, coded, and you can just imagine that they have like all these flow charts. So it's kind of like a pet in a sense, where like they kind of just do the same like like reactions over and over again. It's like, oh, you want to go outside, and then the AI is like, oh yeah, I'm doing the AI, like the AI like outside state now, sort of thing. So yeah, completely different. Although I have noticed that a lot of people are trying to use the chat generation stuff, because it's all generative content. They're like algorithms you can use, which is like what you've been talking about in the games. It's like, oh, we can make the level like based on these rules, and it's like, cool. They're trying to use like chat GPT now in games to make up like detective stories on the fly, which I think is kind of interesting. I've never seen stuff like that before, but a lot of them are still like really buggy and shit. But I think it's kind of fun to play around with, because they try to make like the whole murder mystery as you go, and then you can ask them any questions to the case, and then they'll like respond to you on the fly and stuff. I think that's kind of cool.
Have you seen the AI mod in Skyrim?
No, I haven't.
Okay,
No.
okay. You're gonna love this. Okay, so someone in their brilliant mind has somehow linked Chat GTP.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, to an AI character in Skyrim. And
Oh,
this
that's awesome.
this character follows you around, their companion. And so when you talk in the game, your voice is actually generated in the game and is converted to text. And then because it's converted to text, ChatGTP can talk back.
Understand it.
Yeah. So it converts your speech to text. ChatGPT then replies back in text, and then it's generated back into game audio of your NPC. So for example, this person put on there is like, I don't know if you know the person. You know that guy that like he talks like Jack Sparrow, and he like throws his child around all the time in Skyrim in VR.
What's his name? Krusty.
Krusty. Yeah, I am Krusty. So he had it on there, and he like picked up his kid and he throws it, and he goes, "Oh, it's all right, don't worry him. He loves it." And then the NPC's like, "It doesn't look like he loved it. He's face down in the water. What is wrong with you?"
It's incredibly smart. It's really
so cool.
It's incredibly observant.
It watches and responds to like visually what's going on as well as text to speech. But I heard they use ChatGPT to sort of create it.
Yeah, I'd be interested in it, because I remember like when I was younger, they always like talk about like, oh, this world's like very immersive and it's gonna be like alive and stuff like that. It's like you even got that in like Cyberpunk, right? And then at some point, it's like the game designers like can't write every bit of dialogue, because like at some point, like you're just spamming A, and then it's like, I've already read this. So be interesting to see if they start like shoving more of those models to generate some sort of text to kind of like go for a bit longer, like even in GTA or something. That'd be interesting.
Oh, that'd be
cool
so
up,
much
like,
fun.
somewhere, like, yeah, it'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I get it. Like it's just the kind of exploratory stage, I guess. So it'd be interesting to just use it as like a little tool, I guess. Like you don't have to make the whole game that, you can still have your game.
Yeah,
but I think it would make sort of situations better.
I posted the link in the description below.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch this.
I'm gonna show a little bit of it. Hang on.
Yeah.
Another example I can think of is Doom 2016, where each demon has, depending on how powerful that demon is, they have like a token point and
Sure. Why not?
you as the player have like a reservoir of token points, so you can't get swarmed by every single demon that's generated on the map. The way it works is that, say for example, if a demon will a demon or maybe a couple of demons will put in their tokens to be able to attack you, and then once they're done attacking you, those tokens are then taken back to the demons. And then, say for example, then a higher power demon can only put its one token in, so you're only getting attacked by that demon, and you're not getting attacked by any of the smaller demons at any given time. So it's actually really clever because like it prevents you from getting destroyed by the demons. Because I've played it quite a number of times. I'm thinking, how am I not just getting absolutely destroyed? There's like 20 demons, like high powered demons, in like right now. How am I not getting destroyed? I wonder if they implemented that, or if they just didn't bother implementing that in Doom Eternal. I must admit, I actually prefer Doom 2016 over Doom Eternal. I'm not sure if I'm alone in that.
The system you just described kind of reminds me of like what you see in movies sometimes, where they try to chase that guy.
Oh
down,
yeah,
and they're like,
absolutely.
don't let him to escape, and then it's always just like what on what. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, man, like
Yeah.
just like crash tackle at the same time.
I'll play this little snippet so people watching can see what we're talking
let's
about.
do it.
All right, so
you, I don't need any guidance.
he sounds like
Would you like to
Jack
join
Sparrow.
my army of orphans?
Sure. Why not? I've always wanted to lead an army of orphans. Let's
See?
if we can recruit some little rascals with a taste for adventure.
Yes!
It's fucking mental.
Where's the boy gone? Boy! We've got someone else to help lead
I want-
our army of orphans.
I want him to get to the bit where he throws his child.
Come here.
That's a combination of words I never thought I'd hear anyone say.
All
What?
right, you slimy fish.
I want to get to where he throws his child.
Oh,
Well,
the boy
you know.
sounds absolutely fascinating. I'm sure his plentiful thoughts are a never-ending source of profound wisdom.
Look how dumbfounded the AI. Man, I love Skyrim.
Oh, this is sick, actually.
It is, isn't it?
I was just listening into the stream. Yeah, wow. Oh, that's so cool.
Would you like to try to hold the boy underwater until he stops breathing?
My sweet Dunkel, such dark thoughts you have.
I'm gonna end it there. That's fucking so funny. I love it.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah. His
you're talking
Hitman
of-
videos are funny
Oh,
as
go on.
well.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah,
cool.
he's actually just he's just absurd. He's just such a he takes sadism to an absurd level to the point where it's just funny.
Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying before we interrupted you?
Oh, you're talking about flight sims earlier. I just wanted to like mention.
Yeah.
I've been watching a mate of mine play Euro Truck Simulator a bunch.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of cozy. Like we'll just be like in a Discord call. I'm just like watching him play it. He's like, "Oh yeah, me driving around." It's like, "Oh, I think I recognize this place." What I want is I want it for Australia, right? Or like
Hmm.
some mod for Australia, purely for the reason that I just want to drive down the fucking Hume Highway. Because this is like a highway that like it basically comes out of Sydney. It connects Sydney to Victoria.
Yeah.
Just a long stretch of road. It's I can't remember. It's either 700 kilometers or 900 kilometers.
It's pretty
900
big.
kilometers
Yeah,
sounds right.
it's pretty
There you
big.
go,
Yeah.
900 kilometers. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been a few
And
times.
yeah, right. I've never driven the whole stretch yet.
Yeah.
I still want to.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's just been
just,
like this idea of mine for like ages where it's like I would love to like stream like me driving down the whole fucking Cube Highway. But like I just want a sim of it so I could just like be like on my computer be like, oh, this is boring. So then, like shit talking through it. I think it'll be like so
Well,
much
Oh
fun,
man,
so-
that'd be fun if they brought out an Australian truck simulator. And why can't they? Like, because we
Yeah.
have road trains.
We
Like-
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
That's a big
Yeah.
industry in Australia.
Yeah, like
And the other thing too about that as well, I'll just add just quickly. The
Yeah,
intrusive. It's a place where the intrusive thoughts can win, and you still
Yeah.
walk away alive.
that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
man.
and like we have like heaps of different type of trucks as well. Because like Europe and America have like restrictions on what type of trucks they can have in the country.
Whoa.
Oh,
Where
okay.
Australia doesn't really have that per se. Not to the extent of theirs. Our restrictions are like, has to have like AdBlue and all sort of like environmental restrictions. But in terms of like horsepower, we're not limited at all. So
Yeah, because
yeah.
it wouldn't
Yeah.
make any sense to do that.
Because like you'd think like, so you know, like those big American trucks, right? The like, you know,
Yeah.
your Max and your what's the other big one? Big brand?
Peterbilt, Mack,
Peterbilt, Hauliner, not
um,
Hauliner,
Western Star.
Western Star, that's it. Because all those trucks are handmade too, which is cool.
Handmade. Jeez, I didn't know that.
Each time you order a Western Star, it's custom to what you want.
Oh.
So
Did not know that.
their trucks actually have less horsepower than the European trucks. Yeah, the European trucks are smaller. Because American trucks are limited by horsepower and how big their engines can be and how powerful they can be and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it also makes sense in European settings why their trucks are more powerful, because, you know, it's hilly and they have to carry loads greater inclines and whatnot, which doesn't make sense to me, because then you have Alaska, and Alaska's like really hilly and shit. So and like Colorado and stuff. So I don't know. The arguments don't make sense to me when it comes to America, but in Australia, like we have both European and American, which is cool.
Do we have Australian-built trucks? Is there an industry for Australian-built trucks, or is that just something that doesn't exist?
Nah.
That's ironic.
There should be, though, because like
There should be.
Man, it annoys me because Australians, like most of the most advanced stuff in the world, has been an Australian like engineer involved in it.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to automotive stuff. Like it shits me to tears that like we have all these smart people, like, because Australia on average is a highly educated country.
Oh, absolutely. That's why we have so many international students.
And yet, you know, like we have all these like working people working for all sorts of countries all over the world, engineers, computer scientists, you name it, we've got it. But yet there's like no industries really here in our country.
No, you have to go overseas.
Yeah,
It's the same with
Yeah.
like AI. Like I'll talk to people about AI, and then I'm sounding like an AI bro during this podcast. It's
Yeah.
not like I go down the street
Oh.
like, "Hey, did you know I do AI?" But like, but when I do mention it at work, they'll be like, "Oh, why? Why are you doing that here?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "Oh, there's no work here for AI. You're gonna have to go overseas." And I'm like, "Oh."
There's
Okay. And I hear this like all the time.
Yeah,
so-
there's a guy I know
so
who
bizarre.
I don't know him, but I worked with his partner, and she is with him. They live together and whatnot now. But he created the AI for one of the bank websites that, you know, like how can I help
Oh
you?
yeah.
So he does the AI for that, but he's also in charge of their IT department and stuff like that as well, the bank. So but he's right into his AI, and I was like talking to him and stuff like that about it. But my question to you, though, which is kind of cool, this is like a cool theoretical thing. Have you ever seen Sword Art Online?
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know where I'm
So
going
I
with this.
have. Yeah. So, by the way, I used to read the light novels for Sword
Yeah.
Art Online back, in like, oh fuck, when would it have been? 2012, 2013. So,
Yeah.
like, I thought some of those stories were really, really interesting. But I've gotten up. I watched Sword Art Online. I watched Alpha Online. I watched Gun Gale, and then the season after that, I've only watched some of it. And I still wanted to watch the rest, and I've just never got around to
You
it.
need to watch
So-
Alicization and
Yeah.
War of the Underworld.
So,
You need
yeah,
to.
so that's what I
so
thought you were
good.
gonna mention.
Yeah.
So I was reading the light novels for Alicization, because they're like pretty good. They're like 200 pages or something, and it's just like a novel essentially.
Yeah.
But I remember I was reading it back in the day, and I have no idea how that ends, but like just the premise of you're in like the VR, or like is it VR? It's not really VR.
It's
like
not-
whatever they're hooked up
It's not
to.
VR. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
So
What
they
did call
created
it? It's
they
been so long
they
since
called
I
it
read
a core. That
Yeah.
each being in this world is a core, and it's an
Yeah.
AI core.
Yeah.
So they created this virtual world for the AI to basically live in
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
grow
that's
in,
right.
because so their idea was they wanted to make a bottom up AI, because obviously
Yeah. That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna mention.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what's the headset that Kratos like puts on? What's that called? I forget what that's called.
Oh, you're talking
I
about
don't know.
you've got like the nerve gear, then you've got the
Yeah,
other
the
one.
nerve gear. Yeah. So they were mentioning that the particular nerve gear that they're using, you could experience the in-game world faster than real life. So you could spend
Yeah.
like 100 years in this thing. So if you had 100 years of memory, and then you leave, but it's only been like a month in real life, like
Yeah.
what does that do with your mind? And I was
Yeah.
like, oh sure, that's interesting. But then the core stuff that you're talking about, where they try to they basically CAT scanned and like copied the brain of like children, so like they didn't have like babies, so like they didn't have anything there, and then they'll train them up there. That was very interesting as well. I was like, what the fuck? So I remember reading this when I was like really young, and I was like, oh, those are like some really weird questions. So
Do you think that
yeah.
would be possible?
I have no idea.
See-
I don't know enough about like brain stuff now, but it is an interesting like tack to it to like
Yeah,
sort of make it
like-
like malleable and go there.
Yeah, I wonder if it would be possible
So-
to be able to like convert the consciousness of a being to a digital record, because this like goes back to that altered carbon sort of scenario where people can download their consciousness and put it in like a new body or something like that. But I like the idea of it, but I also think that it's kind of a waste of time and money.
It probably would be. You could equate a nervous synapse to a transistor being on or off, like a synapse passing, information or electrical charge or hormonal information. You could equate that to equivalent of like a transistor being biased to turn on. And that would probably be the closest equivalent I can come up with at this point in time. But I don't know if there's
you know what they try to do with like modern AI stuff, because it's an analogy of like our brain has like a bunch of like neurons that are connected. Blah, blah, blah. That's essentially what they're trying to do with like AI nowadays. So that's why they call it like neural networks. So it's just like these like huge like interconnected sort of like node things, and so it's basically like there's different levels that you can think of this, but like just to keep it like super simple, it's like a decision tree where it's like, oh, what's the answer to this? Yes or no? And then if you go yes, you go down that branch, and then you're at a new node, and then you can ask yes or no to that one. And then if you answer no, you'll go down the next branch. But imagine it's that, but it's like a whole, like there's like millions of like nodes in that.
Yeah.
Instead of yes or no, you could have like confidence. That's basically what they're trying to build, and they're trying to model that like the brain. I do wonder if that's the best way to get the computer to kind of like think about it. But it is kind of that thing where it's like, hey, if your neural network starts with nothing, maybe you could like train it like bottom up, and that's like what they're trying to do.
Yeah, that's essentially because essentially they're people.
Yeah.
They're not like they're not programs. They're actual people like in this world. And it's interesting because like they even mention like the difference between top down and bottom up, and in real life, like as you're aware, most people that are generating like AI like chat GTP is actually a top down and a combination of bottom up.
Yeah, it's all top down.
Yeah, so they do top down, but then they add learning, which makes it bottom up as well, because it learns as it's going along, where top down only is like exactly what you said. You set the parameters and it only does that one specific task, where learning, it has to learn new tasks and new processes to think and shit like that. But
okay, so I got a question for you. Oh yeah, go on.
No, you ask your question first.
Okay, I got a question, because this always bothers me. What do you think the difference is between actually learning something and like memorizing something? Because like when I'm like at uni and I was like doing all my study and all that, I realized that all I'm doing is I'm like reading text, and I keep reading the same stuff over and over again. And at some point I just memorize it, but then I call that learning. But the process I did was not really that different to what we're getting the computers to do, like with all the neural networks, because they just read all the text as well, and then we just tell them the answers. We just say, yeah, that's right, that's not right, that's right, that's not right. And that's basically what was happening to me at uni. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm learning stuff or if I'm just like committing stuff to memory. Like I don't know what, like
that's a really good question.
I actually know the answer to this one. But Spliffy, I do. Yeah, Spliffy.
Okay, yeah, Spliffy, you go then. What do you reckon? Do you think you're learning stuff, or do you think you're just memorizing stuff and then applying it? Like everything in your life, like even stories and stuff like that. Is it just you memorizing and recycling, or do you think you actually learned it?
Are you asking me or Hunter?
You.
Yeah, Spliffy, you. I was rephrasing the question for you.
Okay. Far out. I reckon, like the difference between learning and just when you're memorizing stuff, you're just memorizing it. But then when you learn it, you apply it and then get it wrong, and then learn about how to, and then you figure out how to apply it correctly.
But I would say when you get it wrong, you're just memorizing that was the incorrect thing to say in that situation.
Well, then that's just you're learning. Hang on, what's no?
Wait, are you learning or are you just memorizing?
You're just learning about the one more thing about how not to do it.
Oh, okay. Wait, can you tell me a fact about what is it, like EQ?
A fact about EQ.
Yeah.
Most people misinterpret 7K for 20K. So when people want a really bright sounding vocal track, they'll go straight for 20K, but that's like the wrong thing to do.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. No, that's actually interesting in itself. Now, my question to you is, how'd you learn that?
EQing hi-hats.
Oh, so you had the experience of doing this?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, interesting.
So if you want a hi-hat to sound really nice, you boost 7K, and if you want vocals to sound really nice, you boost about 3.5K and cut 16K. I'm gonna stop talking now.
Sick. No. That's interesting. So what do you think, Hunter?
So I actually asked this question years ago to a behavioralist person. So their answer was quite interesting. Yeah. So he believed that the difference between memorizing and learning is everything you do, including learning, is memory, obviously. So is remembering situations that occurred, whether it was you or listening and memorizing stories of other people or reading it, and it's some sort of intake, essentially. That's memory. The difference between memory and learning is being able to incorporate that memory and apply it for something in any scenario. That is learning. For example, go Spliffy, right? So he's talking about EQs and whatnot. So you learn
I was going to mention that he almost said it as well with his experience. Yeah.
So with his experience and whatnot, he knows about EQs and that audio stuff. But say he goes to something completely different, and then his memory and experiences of how he figured it out, and then incorporates that into something completely different, and then it works. That to me is that's something that he learnt and applied it to something else using his memory. So he uses his memory to interpret the information and then apply it for something completely different. So it's like, the old term thinking outside the box scenario. That is to me what also defines intelligence, because I don't define intelligence as someone who can regurgitate the same information. So you got two different people. One person has photographic memory, can memorize every single textbook and everything they've done in their whole life, right? But they get given a task that has no instructions, right? But the person who doesn't have photographic memory, but they got years of experience in different scenarios, is able to put together that piece without instructions, where the person that has photographic memory can't, because they need instructions to do it. And they're not able to use the information they've gathered to then meld together to then figure out how to put this thing together. Where the other person, they don't have photographic memory, but they have the ability to use their experiences, put it together to then use in a different scenario and problem solve and put it together. That to me is what learning is.
That's such an awesome
pretty good
answer.
answer.
It's very insightful, actually. Yeah. It's a good framework as well.
And it can be incorporated in any sort of scenario. Like, for example, if you've had bad experiences with people, you go to an area and you feel uneasy, you've learnt to not put yourself in that experience again, so you remove yourself from the situation. That is learning. Where someone who has heard about it and knows about it from memory, but they don't have any experience or have never learnt anything about the dangers, they just know about it, then they go in the dangerous environment and then get robbed. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's also
yeah,
like one of those things where like you're trying to explain it to kids and it's like, oh, what's love like? Or what's this
Yeah.
like? And it's like, well, I could like tell you, but you will have no idea until like you experience it, sort of thing.
well,
So,
that's
yeah.
like it's like the old argument with school. You don't go to school. You don't go to school to learn any of the subjects they teach you. You go to school to learn how to learn.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That,
it's
that's
yeah,
that's pretty much how I like treated math when I was there
yeah,
because it's like everyone would always be so focused on like what's this useful for? What's it useful for? And it's like yeah, well, like the shit we're doing is probably not useful for much. But I was treating it like Sudokus or logic puzzles. It's like I'm just learning how to do processes
Yeah.
that require you to think, and that will be that learning will be good for when I actually need to do that. And it was so weird. I remember like when I was like at uni and like I'm actually trying to do like a programming thing, and I'm like, wait, I've done something similar to this before, and like that I
yeah,
could like apply it. It was like so strange in like the weirdest ways. But yeah. Oh, that's
yeah,
interesting. Because I've noticed I've been on the back foot of the opposite thing where I feel more robotic in the sense it's like I was trying to learn how to play chess at some point, but I was
yeah,
just grinding out games because I was like, yeah, I need more experience. That's what I was going for. It's like more experience. I can just learn more situations and then maybe I'll be able to apply it. But probably where I fell short was I was playing minute long games. So I'll just play the same opening, fuck up, and then go, oh well, I can't do that. And then I'll get to the same situation, move again, and then maybe I get it right this time. But it's almost like what the computer did. I just kept getting presented new situations, and if it was within my domain, I was good. But if it was outside, I would just be fucked, and I would just like break down. Even if there were like similar situations, I didn't know how to like apply it across. So kind of felt like I was memorizing there, but I kind of like deluded myself into thinking I was learning because I was
yeah,
like doing so much, sort of thing. So yeah, no, it's interesting, like the way you said that. So I guess I wasn't like applying. I wasn't like seeing the
yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
cool.
Basically, I found that learning is just applying your memory and knowledge into different scenarios.
Mm,
Yeah, because like especially with school, it's like really important for people to learn how to study and absorb the information is something they don't care about as well. Because like there's 90% of the stuff that you learn in school you never touch or use again, and
mm.
it's uninteresting shit half the time. So like you need to learn how to study and keep focus and memorize
Yeah.
the tests, so then that way you can pass, because that's all it is when it comes to school. It is about memory, but you need to learn the processes on how to retain that memory. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like rote remembering stuff. Like I could see
I
the
don't know.
usefulness in it because then like you recall like way quicker. But it's just like I don't know. Gotta
I,
do some memory training.
yeah, yeah. I prefer
Yeah.
just figuring stuff out, but as
Yeah.
just nice and quickly.
Yeah. Well, anyways, it's been a blast. Thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you,
on.
Imanex.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, it was really fun. I actually quite enjoyed this. And if you ever want me back, I'd be willing. So
Yeah,
let me know.
we'll definitely
Uh,
let you know. Yeah.
I'll give you some horror car stories or something
Ooh.
next time.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, we
Yeah.
didn't really talk much about cars. We didn't even
No.
No, we didn't.
we didn't even talk about cars
was
and
good.
AI, like AI and cars, which means Spliffy got on a rant
Yeah.
ages ago about to ourselves.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Oh,
Next
that's
time.
interesting.
Next time we can do that.
Yeah, next time. Yeah, no, thank
Yeah.
you. There, it's very fun.
Well, anyway, those that are watching the stream, thank you so much for coming in and showing your support, especially Goose and Stumpy and Reggie and Brownie, and obviously Ray in the background, keeping an eye, making sure no one talks about dicks or something like that, like last time. I hope you have a good evening and night, depending where you're on the world. And yeah, thank you very much for your help. And yeah.
Also,
Episode
go
10.
follow Imanex.
Yeah, go follow him.
Oh, yeah.
You got to
Yeah,
send
If
me.
you want
It's
to
a
plug,
bit-
if you want to plug your
bit
channel
unhinged.
right
Yeah,
now, that's
if
fine.
if you
Oh, yeah,
send me
yeah,
the,
so
if you send me the link, I'll put it in the description on YouTube and upload it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yep.
I'll do that. Yeah.
Yep.
It's literally just my name, though. If you look up Ibex, you'll find me on YouTube or Twitch. I
There you
managed
go,
to snag
done.
both. So there you go.
All
Done.
right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you all later.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
While it may seem tempting to hold the boy underwater, I believe there are more.